हरि जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन व्रज जन यमुना तीर वनचारी यमुना तीर वनचारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय राधा श्याम सुंदर राधे जय कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम जय गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय जय जय प्रभुपाद जय श्रील प्रभुपाद। हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय, श्रीमद् भगवद गीता की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। हरे कृष्णा। So we completed sorry, I'll just move on to the other prayers also. It's coming up every now and then. What's happening here? Is this screen also visible to you? The small window of Teams?
Yeah, Prabhu.
Okay, I'm trying to move it away, but somehow it keeps coming every now and then. Okay, fine. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितां तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिंधुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण नमः विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी निति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I would request you to mute if you are not speaking. Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu. So we completed the first 3 verses of the second chapter last week. So Deepak Prabhuji, you are the only one whom I can ask now. If you can summarize what did we cover? And if you can give the background, the relationship with the first chapter, the 4 questions that Arjun speaks or asks.
Thank you, Prabhu. So, Prabhu, we did a first chapter, which is observing the armies. So, where it starts with a battlefield, where it starts with where Dhritarashtra asked Sanjaya, my son and Pandu sons, what they have
Prabhu,
done in the battlefield.
can I interrupt you? Sorry. Let's focus only on the questions, if you don't mind.
Okay. So during this conversation, finally Arjuna he set up the background for Bhagavad Gita, where he's first when he's look at his son, his brothers, his grandfather, and his teacher in front of him. So he has a compassionate. That's the first thing. With that compassionate, see, so he become basically he don't want to fight. So I'm just sharing four reasons why Arjuna said he don't want to fight. Right.
Yeah.
So first one is the compassion. Right. Second, he said even he is a loss of enjoyment. So he said, what I will do, even I win the war, because my brothers, my grandfather, my teacher, all will be killed. So he
Yep.
don't see any, purpose in fighting this war, right? This battle.
Benefit.
Yeah. So third is 1 minute, Prabhu. Loss of enjoyment.
No, loss of enjoyment was the second one.
Second one, yeah, yeah. Loss of enjoyment is the second one. Third is he see as a sinful reactions.
Correct. Yeah.
Means if he kills, there will be reaction and he will be party to it. So that's the third reason where he says why I don't want to fight, because there will be sinful reactions, right? Because all the men's will be killed and women's and children will left without unattended. Basically, they need some protection. And lost. The fourth is loss of dynasties. Basically, all lot of people will be killed. It will like a massacre, right? And uh, women's, children's, they will be alone left there. So these are the four reasons he don't want to be cause of that, big
Action.
destruction.
Correct.
So that's
Yeah.
the reason he said I don't want to fight.
Correct.
And then this chapter basically just run through that,
Correct.
different reasons. Yeah.
And then anything, Prabhu, would you like to add about the first three verses which we covered last week?
Prabhu, the first three verses. Now I think just want to give some other background, little bit add more. So basically, chapter two is a is in a summarized form of whole Bhagavad Gita. So Bhagavan basically give him a Arjuna a condensed form of Bhagavad Gita, right? Whole philosophy in a chapter two, and later on it will be expanded through various chapters and in the detailed chapters. And like Prabhuji also mentioned, it is a bit philosophy for few chapters, which is very sometimes big, very dry. But as soon as we reach to after sixth or seventh chapter, we reach to Bhakti Yoga, then I think we will be able to correlate with the day to day the life what
Practical
we
aspect.
see issues and problems in our life, or the basically guidance to our life, right?
Okay. So thank you, Prabhu, for the summarization. So Jijit Prabhu, just 2, 3 points which you may need to remember, which will basically be the foundation for you to understand the second chapter and the rest of the Bhagavad Gita. So that is, in the first chapter, both the armies have come in front of each other, and the war is about to start. Everybody has blown the conch shell also, which indicates start of the war. And at that point of time, Arjun tells Krishna that I want to see all who have come on both the sides to fight. So please take my chariot in the middle of the battlefield. So Krishna, now that he is performing the role of a charioteer, he obeys Arjun and he purposely brings the chariot in front of Bhishma and Drona. He could have actually brought that chariot in front of Duryodhana and Dushasan also, but he purposely didn't do that. He brought it in front of Bhishma and Drona. The objective behind that was to make him feel compassionate, to make him feel that he should not fight the war, so that he will put forward his reasons, which will give an opportunity to Krishna to present Bhagavad Gita to everybody, including us. So after bringing that chariot in front of Bhishma and Drona, Arjun, one moment. Oh, Jitendra Prabhu, welcome. I saw you just now.
Thank you, Sachin sir. Thank you so much.
Okay, so after bringing it in front, after bringing the chariot in front of Bhishma and Drona, Arjun feels that um, he doesn't want to fight the war, and he puts forward four reasons in front of Krishna. Exactly what Deepak Prabhuji mentioned just now. So first reason was compassion. So he is compassionate about being forced to kill the friends, relatives, and so many different people on Kaurav side especially. And obviously there will be some loss of lives on the Pandav side also. But because he would be killing and he would be killing Kaurav army, so he is more compassionate about people from the other side. So he is having compassion at the bodily level. We will see the drawbacks of the Arjuna's reasons when we move forward in the Bhagavad Gita. But one of the drawback is he's thinking at a body level. He does not think at the level of the soul. The second reason he is saying is, I do not want to perform certain activity which I know is not correct. But even if I were forced to perform, at least I should get some benefit out of it. Right. So, for example, there are times when a company forces employee to travel around the world at different places. He may not want to travel, but he still has to travel. But in the end, he at least gets the salary. There is some benefit associated with it. Here, Arjun is saying, I do not see any benefit. Why? Because even if I win the kingdom, the people whom with I will share this joy, they themselves will not exist tomorrow. That's why there is no benefit out of it. So, because they were brought up by people like Bhishma, Dronacharya, Kripacharya, and various other people, they are more affectionate towards them. The Pandavas are more affectionate. And they are saying if they do not exist, what is the joy in having this kingdom? Then he says, he elevates his reason further. And he says, let alone enjoyment, I'm going to get sinful reactions out of it. Meaning, you are forced to perform an activity which you do not want to do. You're not going to get any benefit out of it. In fact, you are going to get sinful reactions. You are going to get the negative aspect of it, but you are still forced to do. And then finally says that this is going to cause huge destruction into the dynasty. Women will become polluted, men will die, the samskaras will die, ancestors will fall down, children will become polluted, so many things. Society will go downhill completely. And all this, I will be responsible because I am going to cause the destruction of that family. Because Arjun is the foremost warriors in Pandav camp. That's why he is taking the responsibility on himself. So he is saying all this put together, I do not want to fight the war. And then he keeps his Gandiv bow aside and he sits down, which is the end of the first chapter. Now in the second chapter, first three verses which we completed last week, okay, one of the key points we talked about was Sanjay opens up the verse, opens up the chapter, where he uses the word kripaya, tam tatha kripaya vishtam, which is by compassion. So we also touched upon a point where foolish people say that Arjun was scared of Kauravas, that's why he did not want to fight. But that argument gets defeated by this word kripaya. So Sanjay, who is a person on the Kaurav side, he is describing Arjuna's situation where he is saying that Arjun is overwhelmed by compassion. Had he been scared of Kauravas, he would have said that this person is scared out of fear that he is overwhelmed. But he is not describing, Sanjay is not describing that way. Okay, then Krishna starts speaking his first verse in Bhagavad Gita. But this verse, the role of Krishna is different from what he speaks when he starts speaking Bhagavad Gita in the real sense, which is verse number 11. So here he's speaking at a different level, and verse number 11 onwards, he will speak at a different level, which we will see when we reach verse number 11. So here, Krishna is chastising Arjun to say that, "Oh, where have these impurities come upon you? You are such a brave warrior. This does not befit a person like you. Okay, and this will not give you any benefit also." And then he finally he talks about some kind of impotency that has come up in Arjun, because of which he is uh, speaking such words. And this is a kind of a weakness of heart. So we touched upon a point to say that at one end, you have a friend with you who is crying. He is in a very, very difficult state, and he's come to you. He is describing the situation and he is crying. But instead of consoling him, if you speak very rashly with him, how will the friend feel? Yeah, he will not like it. So similar situation, Arjun is crying actually. Tam tatha krupaya vishtam ashru purna kulekshanam. Ashru, tears. Tears are flowing from his eyes. In such a situation, a friend like Krishna should actually put a hand on his shoulders and console him and say, "Okay, Baba, beta, no problem. Yeah, it's okay if you don't fight. I will kill all of them from my Sudarshan Chakra." Okay. But Krishna doesn't do that. Krishna purposely scolds him and brings him to a point where he can basically surrender himself to Krishna and request Krishna to speak the wisdom, which is Bhagavad Gita. Okay. Now we can actually start from verse number 4. I want to complete 5 verses today, from 4 to 8, which will mean a kind of a logical end to Arjun speaking about his situation. Anybody has any question around this? Whatever we have covered? Jit Prabhu, any question? Jitendra, any question? Deepak Prabhu, any question?
Okay.
No, nothing from my
Yes,
side.
Prabhuji, we can. I think good enough. आपने अच्छा brief. You have given a good brief here, Prabhu.
Okay. Chalo, so let's start. You all can unmute. The general format we follow is when it comes to the chanting the verse, I chant 1/4 of the verse, then you repeat after that, then I chant the next quarter of the verse, then you repeat. Yeah. Arjuna Uvacha
Arjun Uvacha.
Arjuna Uvacha
Katham Bhishmamaham Sankhe
Pratham
Katham
Bhishmamaham
Vishnamaham
Pakshe
Sankhe
Dronam Cha Madhusudana
Dronacha
Dronam Cha
Madhusudana
Madhusudana
Ishubhi Pratiyotsyami
Vishubhi
Ishubhi Pratiyotsamami
Prativyayami
Pujarha Varisudana.
Pujaha Harisudana.
Varisudana.
Okay. So anybody can read the translation?
Yes, Prabhuji. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Arjuna said, "O killer of enemies, O killer of Madhu, how can I counterattack with arrows in battle men like Bhishma and Drona, who are worthy of my worship?" Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. So what happens now? Arjun has totally put forward 5 reasons for not fighting. The first 4 were spoken in the first chapter, and this verse marks the start of the 5th argument, which goes on until verse number 6. Okay, so here what he is saying, I am put in a situation where I am required to fight and kill people like Bhishma, Drona, and Kripacharya. Okay, let alone killing them, these people, I'm not even supposed to fight with them. Why? Because they are worthy of my worship. So you imagine a situation that a person who raised you, meaning helped you grow throughout your life, You have been, assisted by him. He has supported you in every aspect. And at a certain point of time, you are fighting with him, knowing that either you will kill him or he will kill you. So how will you feel? And then we can imagine Arjuna's situation. And Arjuna is actually convinced that this is not right. Yeah. Meaning he doesn't want to conquer his enemies. And although he knows that it is not right for them to conquer him, he says that even if they conquer me, even if I were to, if they were to fight with me, even if I am weaponless, still it is okay, but I do not want to fight with them. Now, this is his point. Now, Katham Bhishmam, Katham meaning how, Bhishmam, Aham Sankhya. How can I, meaning counter argument, how can I, how can I fight a person like Bhishma and Drona, O Madhusudan? Dronam cha Madhusudan. Oh Madhusudan, how can I fight people like Bhishma and Drona? Ishubhi Pratiyotsyami. Ishubhi meaning arrows. And Pratiyotsyami. Yotsya meaning fight. Pratiyotsya meaning counter attack. So how can I counter attack people like Bhishma and Drona with arrows? Who are Puja Arhav Arisudan. Puja Arhav meaning Puja is worship. Arhav is also a part, kind of worship only. Different types of worships are there. They deserve to be worshipped. O Arisudan. Now, Krishna is being called by two different names here in this verse. Sudan means killer. And Arjun calls him as Madhusudan and Arisudan. So both these names mean that Krishna is the killer of these demons named Madhu and Ari. And why is Arjun using such names? So we have discussed this point before, that especially in the first and second chapter, Arjun to Krishna and Krishna to Arjun, they call each other. Prabhu, please mute me now. So Arjun and Krishna, they call each other by various names depending on the context. So in this context, he is saying, "Oh Madhusudan, you are the killer of the demon named Madhu. Okay, you killed your enemy. You did not kill your relatives. But at this point of time, how do you expect me to kill my friends and relatives? They are not my enemy." So it's a counter question to Krishna. Would you attack your own grandfather Ugrasen or your teacher Sandipani Muni? So in Arjuna's case, it is grandfather as Bhishma and teacher as Dronacharya. Would you kill them? Because you are the killer of the enemies, you are not the killer of friends and relatives, you will not do it. So how can you expect me to do it? That is the context behind Arjuna's question. Now, Krishna mentioned few words in the second and third verse. So some of these words were very strong, Anarya was one word used. Then Klaibyam, which means impotence, was used. Then Kashmalam, meaning impurities, you say your heart or your mind is impure. So that's also not a nice way to speak to anybody. Shudram Hrudaya Daurbalyam, you are Shudra, meaning very petty weakness of heart is there. So Arjun basically now he erupts from inside, which is the way he responds to Krishna's words. And he is in such a agonizing emotional situation, which is causing that hesitation to fight. So that agony, that emotion comes out in the form of questions, not in the form of answers. So Krishna asked him, how have these impurities come upon you? So Arjun doesn't answer that. Arjun says, this question itself is incorrect. How can you expect me to fight people like Bhishma and Drona? Okay, so let's move on to the next verse. You can feel free and stop me at any point of time if you have any question.
प्रभु ये जो सॉरी हरी सूदन हरी
Ari,
I didn't heard story about him. So he
प्रभु
was
Ari
in
Sudan
which
का
form?
Arisudan ka Ari matlab basically enemy. It is not the name of a demon.
Oh, okay, okay,
हाँ,
okay.
तो आपको ये पता है वो वर्स श्रीमद् भागवतम में कैंटो 1 चैप्टर 3 टेक्स्ट 28. सो मृडयन्ति युगे युगे सॉरी कृष्णस्तु भगवान स्वयं एते चांशकला पुंसः कृष्णस्तु Mrudayanti Yuge Yuge. Forgot that third line over there. So he's meaning it says basically that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, and he descends down to kill the demons who are the enemies of Indra. Indrari Vyakulam Lokam
Indrari
Mrudayanti.
Vyakulam Lokam Mridayanti
So
Yuge.
Indrari, so Ari of Indra, that is enemies of Indra. So purposely it is being mentioned here to indicate that you are a killer of your enemies and not friends and relatives. Okay, so verse number 5, you can unmute yourself. Guru nahatva hi mahanubhavan
Guru
Atva hi
Bhagavan
Shreyo bhoktum bhaikshamapi haloke
Bhaktum Vaishnava Loke
hatvartha kamanstu guru nihaiva
Atvartha
Kamastu
Guru Taiva
punjiya bhogan rudhira pradigdhan.
Punjiya Bhogan Rudira Padigagan.
Anybody who would like to read?
Yeah, I can read that.
Yes, please.
It would be better to live in this world by begging than to live at the cost of the lives of great souls who are my teachers. Even though desiring worldly gain, they are superiors. If they are killed, everything we enjoy will be drained with blood.
So this verse you would see it's a bit long than the previous verse. So there are two types of verses in Bhagavad Gita. So one is the 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8, that is 32 syllable verse. And this one is 12 plus 12 plus 12 plus 12, that is 48 syllable verse. And when we count a syllable, it is not based on the spelling in terms of English, it is the uchchar, it is the pronunciation. So gu, ru, na, that, va, hi, maha, nu, bhavan. If you count all of these will come to 12. That way 12 into 4 is equal to 48. So the tune in which you sing this differs a little bit. Now, what is he saying? He is trying to further cement his argument that he doesn't want to fight. So what he is saying, he is speaking from two perspectives now. Yeah. So he is saying he doesn't want to fight. Firstly, he is saying that those people who deserve my worship, if I were to kill them, it will be such an incorrect act. Compared to that, I better not fight with them, and if that means living in this world by begging, it is still acceptable. Now we may think, okay, begging, he is saying it may not be such a big problem. Yeah, but we need to understand it from the context of time as well. So today we see beggars left, right, and center. Whichever place of the world you are in, you see beggars very, very, meaning, more than sufficient. Now, people were having abundant food and the necessities were supplied very nicely by nature. That's why begging was a kind of a rarity during those times. That's why begging is considered to be something which is not desirable. On top of that one, there are certain codes of conducts for Brahmans, Vaishya, Kshatriya, Shudras, and all that. So, which says basically there are certain things a certain person can do and certain things he cannot do, which means going and fighting a war is not allowed for Brahmanas, or doing puja worships and going and doing katha and all that was not allowed for Kshatriyas. And there are various activities. So Kshatriyas were forbidden from begging completely. So he is saying, even if I were to, cross the code of conduct, even if begging is a rarity nowadays, still it is okay to beg compared to the impact or the incorrect act of killing these great souls. So that is the perspective number one. Then he is saying that yes, there is a good chance that somebody may argue saying that, yeah, but those people have done something wrong. So it is not a problem to kill them. Okay. So he is now saying that I know they desire worldly gain. I know they are desiring to fulfill some selfish motive, but still they are my superiors. And that's why I should not kill them. Because if they are killed, then anything and everything that we are going to win as a war, we will be that whatever we win will be tainted with blood. So there are some sayings है ना in Hindi, खून के हाथ, हाथ तुम्हारे खून से भरे हुए हैं. Actually, there is no blood on the hand, but it is to indicate that the actions which you performed, which involved killing of somebody, that hand was responsible, and anything and everything you do with the hand will be the outcome of your previous incorrect action. So that's why it says that, khoon ke haath, sort of. So he's saying that whatever we win will be tainted with blood. So now let's look at the verse by breaking it. Gurun ahatva hi mahanubhavan. Hatva is to kill, ahatva is to not kill. So he's saying Mahanubhav, they are not ordinary people, they are Mahanubhav, they are great people, and they are my teachers as well. So how can I kill them? Shreya bhoktum bhaiksham apiha loke. Shreya is a benefit. There are two types of benefits, short term and long term. Prayas is short term, Shreyas is long term. So he's saying I do not see any long term benefit in this one, but still Bhoktum, meaning I would like to enjoy by bhaiksham, that is bhiksha, people, bhiksha meaning bhik mangna, right? Bhiksha is a word which is not exactly the way a bhikari does today. Bhikari sits in one place and he keeps begging and begging and begging throughout the day. Bhiksha is asked for by Brahmanas. By there are certain rules when bhiksha is to be asked for. It is said that you should, a bhiksha, a Brahman, should not go to more than three places, three houses for asking bhiksha. And when he asks for bhiksha, the lady of the house may take a little time to come back with some food or something. But that Brahman should not wait for more than 3 minutes in the house, 3 or 5 minutes. The quantification of that is the time it is required to milk one cow. That is the time the Brahman should wait over there, not more than that. So if the lady of the house comes back with something, great. Otherwise, skip to the next house. If you don't get anything in the second or the third house also, you remain hungry, but you don't go for asking to more and more and more houses. So bhiksha is that bhiksha which is different than bhik. That is the one that beggars do today. And the adverb form of, or the verb form bhiksha is bhaiksha. Okay, so he's saying I'm okay, happy to enjoy the bhiksha in this world. Why? Because I still do not want to kill them. And he's saying Hatvartha Kamans to Guru Nihaiva. They are superiors. Okay. Although they have a selfish motive, but still they are my superiors and I do not want to kill them. Now, how is that selfish motive? The Dronacharya was done a lot of favors by Dhritarashtra. So actually the story is such that Dronacharya was not able to, did not have a single cow with himself. So he was not able to get any milk. So whenever his child Ashwathama used to ask for milk, he used to take rice water and put it on his lips, because of which his son used to feel that I am drinking milk. That was his condition. And in such a situation, Dhritarashtra appointed him as the teacher of Pandavas and Kauravas, because of which he used to get enough material wealth from Dhritarashtra and he was able to maintain his family. So he was under that upkar, the favor that Dhritarashtra has done, because of which he was unable to, say no to Dhritarashtra even if he was doing wrong. Similarly, uh, Bhishma was stuck to Hastinapur because of his promise. So although he knows what Duryodhan and Dhritarashtra are doing are wrong, still he was unable to give their association. So he's saying they are doing it for a selfish motive, but I cannot still kill them because they are my superiors. Okay. Any question around this one?
No
So
problem.
okay. So Arjun and Krishna, whenever they are speaking these verses, uh, there is a what's the word there? There is one um, implicit uh, assumption of a expected counter question. So if I say 1 plus 2 is equal to 4, so I know you will ask me that 1 plus 2 is not equal to 4. So before you ask it, if I am assuming that you will ask me, and if I give that answer, then the flow of thought and all everything can remain consistent. So the assumption made by Arjun that Krishna will counter his point was he will ask Arjun that if you don't fight with the relatives, you will not win. If you don't win, you will not get the kingdom. If you don't get the kingdom, your survival will be difficult. How will you live? So to that expected implicit question, Arjun is saying, I will live by begging. Then another assumption was Krishna will say, okay, but they are not your gurus. They are not fit to be called as gurus because of the actions that they have performed. So when Draupadi was being dishonored, both had kept quiet. So many actions happened by Duryodhan, but they did not do anything. So he's assuming that, and he's saying the artha kaman. He's saying they are having a selfish motive, but despite that, they are my superiors and I cannot kill them. Okay. So let's move on to the next verse. Please stop me at any point of time if you feel that you have a question. Verse number 6. न चैतद्विद्मः कतरन्नो गरीयो
चैतदितकतरद्गरीयो
यद्वा जयेम यदि वानो जयेयुः
यदा जन्मोप यदि वा जजनीयो
यानेव हत्वा न जिजीविषामः
जानेव हत्वा न जिजीविषामः
एव स्थिताः प्रमुखे धार्तराष्ट्राः
ते अवस्थिता प्रमुखे धृतराष्ट्रः.
Translation, anybody?
And nor do we know which is better, conquering them or being conquered by them. If we kill the sons of Dhritarashtra, we should not care to leave. Yet they are now standing before us on the battlefield.
So this is the verse which actually confirms his fifth argument, that is indecision. Fifth argument. So Arjun is now has become very strong in justifying his position, and that is the this particular verse where he highlights his fifth argument. No, I do not want to fight. And for that, he gives the reason that I do not know what to do. And now let's look at the reasons why Arjun thinks he doesn't know what to do and why. Why is that? Yeah. So let's look at the breakup of the verse. Na cha etat vidmah kataranno gariyo. Na cha etat. Still, I do not know kataranno gariyo. Which one is better for me? Yadva jayema. Should I win by conquering them? Yadivano jayayu, or be conquered by them. Yaneva hatva. If we kill them, na jijivishamaha. Nothing will be left for us. Te avasthitaha. Who? Pramukhe Dhartarashtra, meaning the sons of Dhritarashtra and Pramukhe, that is the leaders, avasthita, they are situated in front of us. So what is he saying now? There are multiple options available to me. I do not know which one is better. Neither can I avoid all of these options. Why? Because these sons of Dhritarashtra and their leaders are situated in front of us. So let's look at the various points that he is highlighting as his basis, the foundation for his fifth reason of indecision. Okay, so the first option that he has is he can fight and Pandavas can win. So which will mean what? They would have to kill all the Kauravas, including the relatives and friends and well-wishers, which he doesn't want, which he has explicitly mentioned multiple times. The second option is he fights and he Pandavas lose, Kauravas win. So what will happen? The Pandavas will be killed in that case, which also he doesn't want, because he knows they are not on the wrong side and they do not want to be killed also for not committing any mistake. Then the third option comes in, that being a Kshatriya, he is not allowed to, he cannot flee from the war, he cannot run away from the war. So that option is also ruled out. Fourth option, being a Kshatriya, he cannot beg for a living. So he knows it very well that begging is not allowed for a Kshatriya. But despite that, he is saying that I'm okay to beg, I'm okay to break the code of conduct. I'm okay to beg and enjoy from my begging, which you cannot, nobody enjoys from begging. But he's saying to avoid the killing of my people, I'm okay to even do that also. But he knows he cannot do that being a Kshatriya. So that's the fourth option, which is also ruled out. Fifth option, peace. If the war doesn't happen altogether? But peace is not possible at all, especially at this time, because all the previous proposals of peace, which came only from Pandav camp, failed due to Duryodhana's obstinacy. So Duryodhan did not want peace, he wanted war because he was confident he will win. Why? Because people like Bhishma and Drona and Karna were in his camp. And there was not a single fight or war which had happened previously where either Bhishma or Drona was defeated. So when two invincible warriors are there in his camp, his confidence was so high that he thought that nothing can stop me from winning. And when a person is so confident of winning, why would he want to go for a peace proposal? So peace also does not stand a chance. That option is also ruled out. And last option, which is a kind of not a perfect option as such, but if the war is started, you cannot abandon in between also. Now, all of these arguments have given a rise to this particular indecision, that I do not know what to do. all of these options are coming to my mind. I know none of these options are valid. What should I do? Now, this verse also highlights the virtuous qualities that Arjun had. So Arjun, at this point of time, despite being troubled and insulted and whatnot by Duryodhan and the Kaurav camp, he still is thinking on the lines of not wanting to kill his own people. Whereas, if you see in the first chapter, when Duryodhan was describing both the armies, he was so happy when Bhishma blew the conch shell because he knew now the war is inevitable. Now war will happen. So at one end, despite committing wrong actions, Duryodhan is happy that the war is happening, and Duryodhan is happy that he will be able to kill the Pandavas. And despite being the recipient of Duryodhana's wrong actions, Arjun was very sad when he knew that he will have to kill the Kauravas, and he knew that he doesn't, and he did not want to fight the war. So you can see the virtuous qualities that Arjun had, and a kind of a detachment that he had, that, it's okay if I don't get the kingdom, doesn't matter. So on a practical basis, there will be times when we come across some lose-lose situation, which is what Arjun is in. So Arjun is not able to see any benefit from any of the options. It's a completely lose-lose situation. So when such options or such situations arise in our life, we should raise our level of consciousness. At this level, Arjun is thinking from a material perspective. The parameters of win and loss for him are material. He is not thinking about the elevated life, which is the spiritual life. When, you might have seen this in some YouTube videos or something like that. So when an eagle is able to see its prey from a great distance. So when the eagle pounces upon the prey, the crows and the vultures, they also want a share of that same prey. So they follow the eagle. But what does the eagle do? The eagle doesn't fight with the crows and vultures. Eagle just raises itself. It flies even higher because it knows that it can rise to a far greater height where the crows and vultures cannot fly. So similarly, when we get stuck in certain lose-lose situation or some material problems, we should understand that this is just a material situation. Neither will this situation last forever, nor will the impact of that situation, even if it is not in our favor, nor will that impact last forever. So we just need to raise our consciousness from material to the spiritual level, and things will be quite fine. And that is precisely what Arjun will do now. So I would actually, I would have loved to do verse number 7 and 8 also today, but the time is not sufficient. And I think we are only 3 people, right, here now?
Yeah.
Yeah, correct. So this verse is quite important. तो म्यूट करते जाओ प्रभु अपने आप को. So this verse, the verse number 7 is quite important. So I would love to actually do that with even more people. So we can actually stop here for today and take verse number 7 and 8 and 9 and 10 in the next week. If that is okay with you. How did you find, was this okay, not okay? Was the explanation, you liked it? think no, it could have been better? If there is any feedback, please
So
feel.
it's always wonderful to attend sessions. Actually, I've never had a session, like this. I mean, um, especially not online. The last session I had was in Sydney only. That
Okay.
was quite some year. I mean, really good, really good. I'm really happy to be part of.
Thank you. Thank you. Please give me any feedback that you may have. It will
Sure,
help
sure.
you improve as well.
Sure.
Jitendra Prabhuji, what did you feel? How did you feel? Was it okay? Not okay?
Yeah, today was my first class, so I'm just trying to, trying to find it out. Okay, how I should start getting these things, because it was like initially I was always wanted to hear it, not by online, but at least face to face. I wanted to hear this Bhagavad Gita. Also, I wanted to read the Bhagavad Gita, but thankfully, Sachin sir, I mean, I got a chance right now. At least listen these slokas and these descriptions about these slokas and texts from you, and this is really helpful, and this is really very much interesting things, and I'm very much grateful for that. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. So I hope to see you in the next week also, and it will become more and more interesting. And the example that I gave of crow and eagles, you will see how Krishna deviates from his message in verse number 39 in the second chapter. Then you will start
Okay, okay,
appreciating.
yeah.
So
Looking forward.
yeah, thank you so much. I have recorded this session. I upload every video also on YouTube, so you can have access to that. Jit Prabhuji, you can check. Jitendra Prabhuji, you can check the YouTube channel also. If you can subscribe to it, then you will get to know whenever I upload. You will get that as a recommendation also.
Perfect. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you
Krishna.
so much. See you
Hare
next.
Krishna,
Deepak
Hare
Prabhuji,
Krishna,
thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji.
Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Prabhu. Jayat Prabhu. And
Thank
Jayat
you.
Prabhu, if your parents also would like to join, you mentioned that day.
Actually, my mom is sitting with me.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Nice. Yeah.
Hare Krishna. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you.
Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Thank
Hare
you. Bye bye. Good night.